Okay, good morning. I have 9:15, so I'm going to start. I'm Dr. Stasia Herbert-McZeal, and I'm the Director of Distance Education. And I was given this opportunity to do this great volunteer project by Dr. Bex. And she wanted me to talk a little bit about the online classroom during COVID and the lessons that we've learned. We've learned a lot as a college, and I think that I know that we have come very, very far, and we've set the bar high, and some of our plans and ideas have been shared with people within the system. So we are cutting edge. We are above everyone else. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation? Can you see it? Okay, good deal. Okay, let's see how we move it. Well, that's going to be the challenge, is to move it. Well, the title of this is called Coronavirus plus March plus Instruction equals the Changing Landscape of Higher Education at SLCC. And I posed the question, where were you when the landscape of education changed in the United States? Do you actually remember? I remember Friday, March the 13th for us. I grabbed everything out of my office because I just submitted the plan to Dr. June. What if we had to have a lockdown? And the next thing I know, we were having this team meeting to discuss these plans. So I remember where I was. I remember watching everything on television and wondering if we could actually do this. We were given, so at the end of this conversation, we're going to be able to identify how the landscape has changed and find ways that we can engage the students in the classroom, and also as faculty and staff members, because it dawned on me this morning that going remote not only impacts faculty, it impacts our staff as well, because people are now working from home. And as I was putting together the tips for the self-care, I realized that it's oftentimes harder to work from home with the kids and everything that's going on around us, that we need those self-care strategies that I kind of provide for you. So moving on. So our traditional learning modalities at SLCC include face-to-face instruction. We had hybrid instructions. The typical hybrid class was the student would come one day and the rest would be online or through Canvas. We had video conference classes where, especially in the outer campuses, the students would be in a classroom and it would turn on and they would have their lecture while the instructor would be at another classroom. And then we had a 100% web-based classes, totally online. Very little interaction with these 100% web-based courses because they're designed where it's almost like a self-paced correspondence course. The pandemic created different learning modalities. We have our synchronous courses where we use Canvas. We use WebEx, which is integrated in Canvas. So the students still have a set time to meet for their class. And then we have what's called high sync, where the student comes on class. In the fall, they came on class one day a week. And then in the spring, it'll be 2 days after February. And then the rest of the work will be online. And then we have our asynchronous, which is our 100% web-based. So I think part of the problem when the country went virtual is everybody just said, oh, we went online. And we didn't totally go online because there was supposed to be interaction between the instructor and the students in our classrooms that were not traditional 100% online courses. How did we get here? Circumstances beyond our control brought us to where we are now. There's nothing we could have done about this. I'm really, really hoping that come August, we're back to normal because I have a kid who wants to go to college. So I'm not going to send her to college and have her do virtual remote in the dorm room. So if she's back to normal, she can go to college. We were in phase 1 in March with restricted movement, which meant everybody had to rethink how things were done. So one of the things that I'm most proud of is that Dr. June was always forthcoming in his thinking in that he was preparing. He had me working on a plan, looking at how we were going to do instruction, working with Dr. Browning in professional development to come up with a plan that would prepare to move us to where we are now. So for that, I've always been grateful, and I'm very grateful. So March 13th and onward, our former chancellor, Dr. Natalie Harder, sent out an email to faculty saying we're going remote. So faculty and students were out. The college was closed until March the 17th to give us some time to get acclimated, to give us time to get trained through Canvas so that we could move forward with teaching our students. The students were notified about the changes, and they didn't know what to expect. They were scared. I know that faculty who had never used Canvas the way we've always asked them to use Canvas, they were scared themselves. So Canvas, I'm so grateful that we have Canvas because having a learning management system helps an institution do what we did. I think about some of the issues that K through 12 incurs because they don't truly have a learning management system like we do. They use their Google Classrooms and all that. They've been using Zoom, and I've been hearing some horror stories about Zoom. So to have Canvas, to have it be so controlled it's one of the things that I think we should be proud of. We worked in distance ed very closely with Dr. Browning to offer training related to hybrid teaching, to WebEx, and how to effectively work from home. HR and Dr. Browning put on a training that kind of gave us some parameters to work from home. And the students were also provided training as a whole. So this slide is very important to me because I as an English instructor, I used to say, you can always assess someone's tone in the way they write, and using that one word online can actually change everything we're trying to do. We did not go online. We did not. We are using our learning management system, which is Canvas, to teach our students. We're using WebEx to be able to provide the interaction that our face-to-face students would have normally had on campus through the virtual means. It's in the clouds. The students were supposed to meet at their scheduled time, as they are supposed to meet in the spring, and they're supposed to have that interaction. Yes, you do encounter different things when you're teaching using WebEx. I had a student who was walking in Walmart shopping during my class. And I looked and I'm like, are you shopping? And she's like, yeah, I'm in Walmart, but look, I'm listening. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. And she went to another store, and I'm like, are you at Super One? She's like, no, I'm at the Dollar Tree now. And I'm like, oh, man. So as long as she was in class, I was okay, but I knew that I needed to set some parameters. But the one thing I encourage people is to make this transition work, we have to stop using the word online, because the virtual environment through WebEx does allow the interactions that the students seem to want to take place using WebEx in our traditional face-to-face classes. Dr. June has always mandated in his former role as Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs the use of Canvas for grades and syllabi, and he had eventually hoped that people would use Canvas more, but it didn't happen until recently. So I'm happy that we're getting a lot of usage out of Canvas, but everybody's still using it differently. We didn't do this remote thing alone. The United States Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, did provide more support and flexibility for distance learning per se, and that came in the form of the CARES Act. So as a whole, the country's educational structure went into this distance learning modality, and SACS, our accrediting body, allowed us to also go into this use of Canvas, online, distance learning to get through this pandemic. All of K-12 went through this whole change, so it wasn't just us. There's an article that someone wrote, Winfro. It said that 2/3 of higher education faculty experience a lot of stress from trying to meet the emotional and mental needs of the students, because nobody was really prepared for this change. And we see as faculty and staff the emotional and mental needs that our students have face to face, but we also got a chance to see things that we never saw, because we were looking and teaching. We were teaching in environments that we had not been familiar with. The state of Louisiana as a whole went remote. I put links because I think I'm going to share this PowerPoint with the Division of Liberal Arts, but I put links to the Board of Regents. The Board of Regents required every higher ed institution to have a plan. So the LCTCS had a plan, the UL system had a plan, and there's also an organization for other colleges and universities that are not part of the UL, LSU, and Southern system. They all had to have a plan along with the Louisiana Department of Education, Louisiana Believes, and everybody's plans were different. And I think that's where we got into a lot, because the expectations of our students became based on the expectations of what they heard their friends were experiencing at other institutions. Whereas if someone went to UL and they were, taking classes or they were going on campus, then sometimes our students expected that, and they couldn't understand why that wasn't happening. The one thing I encourage faculty to do is try not to make assignments due haphazardly or randomly. Just have some structure. And that's really, really hard, because people were just trying to meet those teaching minutes, and they would tell students, oh, you have an assignment due, tomorrow, and students would get frazzled. But we've moved forward from that. Like I said, we did have a plan as an institution, so for that I was really excited about. This, and I didn't put it on my reference slide, but the Director of Admissions gave us a survey and that she had done, Debbie Kapchuri, and I thought I saw her on here. And I went through the survey and I looked at the comments that the students made because I wanted to see how distance ed could help, if we could help eliminate some of those fears and apprehensions that students may have had in the fall for the spring. And I think that the first one came from an article I found. They did a survey across the United States about this transition from face-to-face to remote. And one of the comments from this whole survey, it seemed to resonate that the students were really, really struggling and they needed extra support and they were looking for that. So one of the suggestions was that colleges and universities could do more to kind of stay connected to students. And I was happy that we had our student engagement advisors meeting with students online. They were doing tutorials. So SLCC as a whole was doing what it needed to do to try to stay connected to students. One of the comments from Debbie's survey that one of the students said is, I've never taken an online class that was like this. It was a bit troubling trying to navigate through WebEx and trying to be logged in on time. That was a little disconcerting to me because there's no time in online. And I think if instructors would communicate that, hey, we are taking this class virtually, it's remote, we are meeting at this required time, it's in the clouds, but let's not think of this as an online class because our online classes are structured differently. The students wanted interaction, just like the students in the national survey. And someone said it was just about getting used to this hybrid format because students don't normally pick hybrid if they can avoid it. I once had a student who was in my class and I said, hey, this class is kind of special. We only meet on Thursdays and the rest of the class is online. And I was walking to Arduan for a meeting and I saw her and we walked together and I said, so do you think you'll like the class? She's like, no, ma'am, I'm going to drop the class. I'm like, oh, you're dropping the class? And she's like, I can't do this online stuff. So she needed to be in a face-to-face class versus having that online component that the hybrid class had. But I think it's just really, really, as the student said, it was finding the common ground to a new learning experience. And I think as faculty, we need to communicate that to students, that this is new. This whole thing is new for all of us because I'll tell you, if you ask half the faculty on this campus, many of them would have preferred to teach face-to-face versus Canvas because not everybody wants to teach online. Most people will tell you, that's too much work teaching online. It's really a lot of work. So we're asking everybody to get out their comfort zone. The transition hiccups, the flip in March was not a smooth transition for faculty or students. We met as an academic student services leadership team and made sure that we addressed what didn't work in March to try to prepare to have a smoother transition in the fall. SLCC as a whole understood the lack of resources that some of our faculty and our staff had, along with our students, to actually meet the needs of teaching online. You know, it's like some faculty members don't have computers at home. They don't have high-speed internet. So we had to address that. SLCC allowed withdrawals that were related to COVID issues. The summer was an opportunity to prepare students to return in the fall. And sitting in this interim role in liberal arts, that COVID handbook that we put in place in the fall became like a Bible. So anytime a faculty had an issue with their class in the fall, it's like, what does it say? Do we need to like quarantine? So faculty were reading, they were asking if they needed to cancel their classes, they were communicating with students. It's so funny, Dr. Bex just talked about her cheer. She just did her flexibility cheer this morning, but it's something we asked faculty in the fall, and we're still asking them this semester to be flexible, to just be flexible. And you get to the point is like, how flexible do you want me to be? You know, and it's like, be flexible as long as it's within the college structure. So, how to help our students. I tell faculty all the time, their syllabi is their friend, there's their contract. But the one thing I would normally recommend is inform the students that the course is not online unless it's truly a 100% web-based course. Students don't know the type of classes they're taking. They don't look to see the instructors. They don't know. And everybody says, oh, there's a description. They don't read that description. So we have to be that voice that says, okay, this is how the class is going to work, and let them know so that they can actually hear it. Some students have to hear it to get it, you know. So faculty have been encouraged to make sure their syllabi is clear and concise. They have been encouraged to make sure their late work policy is easily identifiable. And if there's anyone here who works on the student services side, it's also good to remember from that side that, you know, students have to make sure they read their syllabus and encourage them to look at that syllabus. Go back to your syllabus and see what your instructor said, what happened if you didn't turn in that assignment on time. You know, there are some consequences. You can only be as flexible as you can be. I found out last year that, you know, English has a certain leeway that they could stretch. You can't come back at the end of the semester and say, hey, I got my textbook now, I'm ready to do my class. Well, your class is over. So you can only work within realistic confines. We are encouraging faculty to direct students to all the college resources. One of the questions that came up, because the college is going to be closed to on-campus instruction until February, is what if a student needs to go to the library. So I think they're going to go back and do the appointment system so that the students can get to the library, use the library computers like they did when we were in the spring and the summer when we needed those things. So I have to keep reminding myself, the college is not closed. It's closed to on-campus instruction until February. We have been encouraging faculty to use Teams to communicate with the department chair and follow the handbook, the COVID handbook. There are trainings in Starfish, Responders, and Canvas going on today. There was an email from Academic Affairs on the 4th with registration for those trainings. We're encouraging our faculty to attend those so that they can be prepared in that way. And students are also encouraged in their classrooms to do the Canvas enrolled training so that they can get acclimated to Canvas in that classroom. Also, too, if there, and this goes to staff as well, if you hear of a student who has issues with Canvas, they can't get in or something's going on, have that student send an email to SLCC Canvas support at solac.edu. We do have someone who monitors Canvas for us. She does a very good job, and it's not Maya. She does a very good job of doing that. I have counted since Monday over 150 Canvas support tickets running through, and she's been going through them. It's, you know, instructors want to merge classrooms, you know, issues with students on the NIMSA side not being there. So they're addressing issues like that. Canvas support is not SLCC Canvas support is not the Canvas support that comes with the actual package. It's our Canvas support. If it says SLCC Canvas support, and she usually responds within 24 to 48 hours. It's no longer than a day, but it's not immediate. If they need immediate assistance, they need to go to Canvas support, which is not ours, and they'll get them within their queue. But ours takes 24 to 48 hours. How to help yourself. The one thing I find, I sometimes feel like I do a lot of work when I'm working from home. It's like it's nonstop working. And I actually like to come on campus because I feel like I can move away and I can walk and do things, whereas at home, I just stay on my desk.
Sound like it. Oh, man, that's not good. It get breached.
Okay. But for faculty, I would say if your class is at 8 o'clock, try to log in at 7:30, have what you need, have your coffee by your side, log in on time, schedule office hours so that you can be there on time to start your class. This way, your students don't have any issues with your students won't have any issues when it's time for class to start. I know some students like to log in 5 minutes before class, 10 minutes before class. So be there a few minutes before class so that you can be ready for your students. Take some breaks throughout the day. If you're teaching 4 classes on Monday and Wednesday, and they normally would have a 10-minute break in between, then you have to take breaks. You have to sit down and prioritize, take a break. If you would have gone from your classroom, run to the ladies' or the men's room, do that at home. Walk away from that computer, stretch. Also, schedule time for grading. You know, don't try to do everything at one time. Try to have, just imagine you were in your office on campus. How would you do it? If you would wait until the weekend to grade, if you were in, you know, if we were under normal circumstances, do that. And also take time for yourself, you know, exercise, go to lunch if you can still do those things with your friends, and try to hold team meetings with your colleagues. This semester, I'm going to be more available via Teams with people so that we can chit-chat a little bit more. I'm sorry that my attention got wiped away. I was looking at a comment. I'm trying to so reserving computers for the first month. So is the question asking, do you want students to be able to go take their exams in the library if they don't have access to computers at home?
Yes, ma'am. I was just wondering, because I know that the previous class of ours had a few students who had to reserve, and she found difficulty in reserving sometimes. I'm not too sure if it's because she waited last minute or whether or not the library has enough computers that we don't really have to worry about tentative dates of exams.
I'm not really sure. And I'm going to walk to the library today and I'll talk to Ms. Rolfes to see, but I don't remember what the process was in the spring with reserving those. So I will get with Ms. Rolfes and Courtney, schoolmaster, to address the policy of reserving computers in the library. So I'll circle back on that. So I wrote it down. Library assistant. Any other questions? Yes, there is a link to reserve on the library website, and the students can normally do that. So I don't know what their hours are going to be. I know they're not open this morning.
Say that one more time, you cut out.
I know that the library isn't open early in the morning, like at 8 o'clock. So they usually alter their work schedule. But I will ask Catherine if she can post library hours for the month of January to get us to February 1st, so that we can at least know when. Students will still be able to come on campus and conduct businesses. I know students are coming to do parking passes and IDs right now. They just have to use their code, and security is doing all that stuff right now. So the college is not closed. We're just not doing traditional instruction face-to-face for the spring. I don't know, but I got it down. So I'll ask her, and we'll get back to you. And I wrote your name down, too. I'll say this. I think that we will be normal in August. I'm hoping we'll be normal in August. I really do, but I really believe that faculty and staff have gone above and beyond and given 110% of themselves to do what we do at SLCC. There has never been a moment where I've not seen everyday excellence being practiced throughout this pandemic. So we should be very proud of themselves. No, no, ma'am. Students, until after February 1st, students cannot sit in the classrooms during that class time. Even if they don't have a computer, they can use their phone, Ms. Uma, or they can do a reservation in the library, but they'll have to have their earplugs. You can go to your classroom and teach from your classroom, but students are not allowed to be in that classroom with you during that time until after February 1st. Yeah, we've had some questions from faculty. They can use that assigned class room that they're scheduled to be in to teach from if they want to be in that environment. And to do that, students can't be there with you. I do too, Sandy. I usually tell people to go to the library, but I know that the library is kind of busy with all that's going on, but that's a good suggestion too. Okay, so Lana, am I almost done? Are there any other questions? No, and we have not discussed what's going to happen after February 1st. You may have to go and split again, but the discussion is to try to get us through February 1st. But we will not. I'll ask Courtney if we're going to split after February 1st. Yes, you're right. I used to teach to one student in my class every Thursday. Only one student would show up. And I asked her, I'm like, why aren't you staying home like everybody else? And she's like, I like to come to school. I need to get away. And up until the moment people in her family got COVID, I taught with her in class and everybody else WebEx. And it was a little disheartening, but at the same time, you know, she enjoyed coming to class, so I enjoyed teaching her because she made time fly. Everybody, you know, I think when we get back to normal, I would really, really love to sit down and chronicle the tales we have, because we sometimes think that our experiences are ours alone, and that's the part of networking and talking by the copy machine that we miss, because we're not alone in this. Our colleagues are experiencing the same things that we are, and we just don't have the ability to hear it and feel it. I told someone the other day that it's a new faculty member. I said, you know, it's very unfortunate that you don't have that experience of being up on the third floor in the Valcourt with everybody, because the third floor, for me, having been on that floor since 2005, was like the coolest floor. So when I had to move to the first floor, I was a little sad because I missed all those friendships. I missed meeting people and just talking about football and all those things. So I hope we can get back to that soon. Thank you, Ms. Helen. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate everyone for being willing to be here for the students, even when, you know, some of you have issues that you're afraid to be here. But the students appreciate you. So the session ends at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to wrap it up if there's no questions. And if you want the PowerPoint, just let me know. I'll send the PowerPoints, because it has links to the Board of Regents. And those are very important to me, because it helps me to keep abreast of what's going on in our state higher educational system. So it lets me know how the pandemic is changing education, so I can send that. So I am going, yes, there is a starfish training that I need to get to as well. So you have a great day and happy learning. And if you have any questions, just email me. That's it. Have a good one.